Have you ever felt like something within you is changing? Quietly, gently, but undeniably? As if your heart is being guided toward a new chapter? A chapter that doesn't just involve you, but another soul, someone written for you by Allah long before you were even aware. Marriage in Islam is not just a contract between two people. It's a sacred covenant, a spiritual bond, and a divine act of mercy. It's half of your deen, as the Prophet beautifully said. And yet, so many of us wait, wonder, and worry. When will it happen? Or how will I know I'm ready? But the truth is, Allah, in His mercy, often begins preparing you for this sacred union long before you meet your partner. He nurtures your soul. He clears your heart. He shapes you in silence. In today's reminder, we will explore 8 deeply spiritual signs that show Allah is preparing you for marriage. These signs are not to be overlooked. They are gifts woven with divine wisdom. 1. You feel spiritually drawn closer to Allah. One of the most profound signs that Allah is preparing your soul for marriage is a noticeable shift in your relationship with Him. You may find yourself suddenly yearning to pray more deeply, not just performing your salah, but pouring your heart into each sujood. You begin to seek forgiveness for past mistakes, cleanse your intentions, and reconnect with the simplicity of your faith. This is no coincidence. In Islam, a successful marriage is not built solely on emotions or attraction. It is grounded in taqwa, God consciousness, mercy, and barakah, divine blessings. And Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows that before He gifts you with a righteous partner, your heart must first be tied to Him. You might notice yourself turning to the Quran more often, finding answers in its verses that speak directly to your current situation. You could begin waking up for tahajjud without anyone asking you to. These small acts of devotion are signs that your heart is being prepared, not just for a relationship with another human being, but for a sacred bond that honors Allah's commands. As your relationship with Allah deepens, you begin to realize that love for Him comes before love for anyone else. That realization is key, because when two people enter marriage with their hearts aligned to the divine, they are no longer seeking validation or happiness from each other, but with each other through Allah. 2. You've gained patience and emotional maturity. Marriage is a journey of two souls learning to love and grow through the highs and lows of life. And one of the strongest signs that Allah is preparing you for that journey is when you find yourself becoming more patient. Maybe you've gone through trials recently that have tested your endurance. Family struggles, personal heartbreaks, delays in plans you deeply hoped for. But instead of collapsing under pressure, you find yourself handling these hardships with calmness and resilience. This is emotional maturity. And in Islam, it's part of the divine process. Patience, sabr, isn't just about waiting. It's about trusting Allah's timing while remaining content in the process. It's being slow to anger, quick to forgive, and steady in your intentions even when things don't go your way. When Allah prepares you for marriage, He puts you through situations that develop these inner strengths. You start to observe that you don't react the same way to problems anymore. You no longer argue to win, but to understand. You don't just listen to respond, you listen to connect. These are not random changes. They are divine molding. This growth is crucial because marriage is not a fairy tale. It demands tolerance, flexibility, and emotional intelligence. When you feel this softening and stabilizing of your character, know that Allah is shaping you to become the kind of partner who can bring peace, not chaos, to a household. 3. You experience a shift in your priorities. There comes a moment in life where your heart stops chasing the superficial, the glitz, the status, the temporary pleasures. They no longer hold the same allure. Instead, you begin to long for stability, for a home where love is rooted in loyalty, where faith is the foundation, and where your energy is invested in something that lasts. This internal transformation is a major sign that Allah is preparing you for marriage. Where once you may have been preoccupied with outward appearance or material success, you now think more about compatibility, shared values, and spiritual goals. You begin filtering your choices through the lens of long-term fulfillment rather than short-term excitement. You might also notice a quiet distancing from environments or people who promote fleeting joys, parties, gossip, emotional games. Instead, you're drawn toward peaceful settings, meaningful conversations, and people who bring out the best in you. Why? Because Allah is changing your priorities to align with the qualities needed in a healthy marriage. He's teaching you to value substance over sparkle, depth over drama, sincerity over surface-level attraction. Your goals evolve. You want to build, not consume. You want to give, not compete. You want a partner who grows with you, not someone who distracts you. And when your priorities reflect this kind of depth, it's one of the clearest signs that Allah is preparing your heart for something sacred. 4. Your character is refining from the inside out. Marriage doesn't just require good manners. It demands good character. The kind of character that stays kind in conflict, that listens before reacting, that chooses forgiveness over pride. If you've noticed lately that you are being tested in how you treat others, especially in stressful or unfair situations, and you're learning to respond with more grace than before, this too is a sign of divine preparation. In Islam, the Prophet Muhammad emphasized the importance of good character in marriage, stating, "The best of you are the best to their wives." Tirmidhi. This hadith doesn't say the wealthiest or the most knowledgeable. It says the best in behavior, because good character is what sustains love when life becomes difficult. Perhaps you're being guided to purify your heart from envy, pride, or impulsiveness. You might find that your ego is being tamed, not because you're becoming weak, but because you're learning the strength it takes to stay humble, admit faults, and grow from them. These traits aren't built overnight. They're carved over time through silent tests. Allah knows that marriage is about serving someone else for His sake. That's why He helps you develop qualities like mercy, emotional control, self-awareness, and reliability. All crucial traits of a righteous spouse. So if you feel you're becoming more calm, balanced, forgiving, or kind, even when it's hard, this inner evolution is one of the clearest signs that Allah is preparing you for a marriage of barakah. 5. You have clarity in your dreams and inner feelings. Sometimes Allah speaks to us not through words, but through feelings, those quiet stirrings of the heart, or recurring symbols in our dreams that gently point us in a new direction. You may start to dream about marriage, not necessarily about a specific person, but about peaceful unions, family, or feelings of belonging and commitment. These dreams can carry symbolic weight, as many righteous believers in Islamic history received guidance through dreams. Dreams in Islam are not all literal, but when they repeat or when they bring a deep sense of peace, they can be a form of ilham, inspiration, or divine preparation. Imam Ibn Sirin and other scholars of dream interpretation have confirmed that true dreams are part of prophecy. In addition to dreams, you may feel a deep and persistent inner knowing that something is shifting in your life. You sense that your time of companionship is near, even if you can't explain how. That quiet yaqeen certainty is a spiritual gift. Your heart starts to soften to the idea of marriage. Maybe it once terrified you. Maybe you were heartbroken in the past, but now you feel more open, more ready. These feelings aren't to be dismissed. They are signs that Allah is healing your heart and preparing you to love again, this time with more faith and purpose. 6. You've let go of past attachments and healed. One of the most important signs that you're ready for marriage is when your heart is no longer chained to the past. Many people carry emotional scars from previous relationships, heartbreaks, or disappointments. And Allah, in His mercy, allows time for healing before bringing someone new into your life. If you find that your heart is becoming lighter, that the pain is softening, and that you no longer feel bitterness or longing for what once was, this is a sign of healing. Letting go isn't easy, but when it happens, it creates emotional space for something better. If you find yourself making dua not for a specific person, but for what's best, if you can look back at the past with peace instead of pain, that's Allah saying, you are now ready. Healing also shows in the way you speak to yourself. Instead of saying, I was not enough, you start saying, that was not meant for me. That's not denial. That's faith. That's trust in Allah's wisdom. In this purified state, Your heart is more capable of receiving the person who will match your growth, not your wounds. And that makes all the difference in the kind of love you will attract. Of love you will attract. 7. You attract conversations and guidance about marriage without seeking them. Another subtle but powerful sign is when conversations, reminders, or invitations related to marriage begin to show up in your life, seemingly out of nowhere. Perhaps someone in your family begins to ask about your future plans, or maybe your local imam delivers a khutbah on the importance of choosing a righteous spouse, or a close friend casually mentions that they know someone whose values align with yours. These aren't accidents. Allah often sends guidance through people and circumstances. And when you are being prepared for marriage, you may notice that these signs begin to increase, not to pressure you, but to remind you that your time is near. You might even notice that the people you are meeting are different than before. They are more aligned with your goals, your mindset, your faith. This is no coincidence. It's Allah aligning your path with people who will either prepare you for your future or become part of it. These synchronicities are part of divine timing. Don't ignore them. Reflect on what they mean and ask Allah for clarity. The right path becomes easier when your heart is paying attention to the guidance being sent. 8. You feel a deep sense of readiness and peace. The final and perhaps most beautiful sign that Allah is preparing you for marriage is an overwhelming sense of peace. It's not a loud excitement or a rush of emotion. It's a calm knowing that you are ready. You might not know when it will happen or who it will be, but there is a serenity in your heart that says, I trust Allah with this. That peace is a gift. It is what replaces anxiety with tawakkul, trust. It's what makes you smile when you hear someone else is getting married, not with jealousy, but with hope. It's what allows you to prepare inwardly while leaving the rest in Allah's hands. You may still feel nervous about the unknown, but that doesn't erase the peace, because true readiness in Islam isn't about having all the answers. It's about surrendering to the one who does. When your heart is aligned with faith, your character refined through trials, and your soul calm in expectation, know that Allah is near, and so is the person He has chosen for you. Marriage isn't the end goal. It's the beginning of a beautiful and sacred journey. It's a means by which two souls walk together toward Allah. When He prepares you, it's not just about love, it's about readiness. Readiness to lead with mercy, to build with trust, to walk with faith, and to love for His sake. If you've recognized even a few of these signs in your life, then know this: Allah is near. He is listening to your du'as. He is softening your heart. He is writing a love story for you that begins not with another person, but with your surrender to Him. So don't rush the process. Don't chase what is already written. Instead, beautify your character, nurture your relationship with Allah, and watch how everything else aligns. Because when Allah prepares a heart for love, He fills it with Him first. If this message touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who needs hope. Reflect in the comments on which sign you felt most deeply. And don't forget to subscribe for more soul-nourishing reminders that guide you back to your faith. May your journey to marriage be filled with barakah, patience, and divine ease. Ameen.